What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, PJ3 Sports. I am your host, Peter Noche. Last week was a tough week. It was another push week for me. Hope you guys did well. But the Cowboys killed me, and the over on the Bills game. Sunday was a rough day. Saturday I did pretty well. So looking forward to this week, though, with the NFC and AFC Championship games. Very intriguing matchups. I see these teams as the best teams in the NFL coming out of this year. So let's get it rolling.
Money, money, money team. Money, 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 money team.
Welcome back, guys. So we're going to do things a little bit different this time around and moving forward. Instead of me sitting at the desk, I'm going to be displaying it on the whiteboard and going through the games one by one, having my notes out so you guys can follow along and go through the key points that are going to be the factors in these games. So let's get started. We got the San Francisco 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles. The spread is at 2.5 points. Philly's favored by 2.5. The over-under is at 46. And for the money lines, Philadelphia is a minus 145, so you got to put up $145 to win $100 if you're going to bet on the Eagles to win. And then for San Francisco, they're plus 122, so you got to put $100 up to win 122 since they're the underdog. This is going to be played at Lincoln Financial Field Stadium at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Philly fans, they're going to be rowdy, and this is going to be a really intriguing matchup. I think the most intriguing matchup for an NFC Championship game in a long time. So let's get into the points. So number one, I got the Eagles O-line versus the 49ers defensive line. So as we talk about this game, up front for Philadelphia, you got Jason Kelce, you got Lance Johnson, the big boys up front. And then obviously for San Francisco, Nick Bosa, probably Defensive Player of the Year, Eric Armstead, and then you got the linebackers, Fred Warner and those boys. So I believe this game is going to be won up front, and you're going to see it early on who's got the advantage. I primarily see, the really key matchup is going to be Lance Johnson versus Nick Bosa. Defensive Player of the Year likely versus one of the best right tackles in the National Football League. So this is going to be intriguing to watch. If, Nick Bosa starts to have success against Lance Johnson, I think Philadelphia is going to have to try to adjust and look for ways to avoid Nick Bosa and, running the ball, running to the other side and throwing the ball, getting the ball out quick and being efficient with it. So that will be really intriguing to watch. And this is the number one offensive line in Philadelphia. They're not getting really a lot of credit as much as, San Francisco's defense. San Francisco's defense getting a lot of credit. They're the number one defense, number one in rushing, and number one in passing. But yeah, I don't think Philly's getting the credit they deserve. So that's going to be, watch for that matchup. That's going to be really intriguing. Number two, we got the Eagles wide receivers versus the 49ers secondary. So you got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, and Dallas Goedert as well, the tight end for Philadelphia on that side of the ball. And then you got Charvarius Ward and Diamador Lenore for the San Francisco corners. So this is going to be really intriguing to watch. I believe they're going to have Charvarius Ward on A.J. Brown for most of the game, and then Devontae Smith will be guarded by Diamador Lenore. And, I see this, playing out in a sort of way where Philadelphia will have to get A.J. Brown the ball. They're going to have to get the ball in his hands early. They got to get him comfortable to where he can be, explosive and to where he can take over this game. If he doesn't do that and Charvarius Ward is able to slow him down, I think Philly's going to have a lot of problems moving the ball offensively. So A.J. Brown's got to get to a good start early. And, we also, can't forget A.J. Brown is a really good pass blocker. We saw that a lot in the last game against the Giants where Philadelphia was able to throw a lot of screens to Devontae Smith. You saw A.J. Brown blocking on the outside, and they were having a lot of success with that. Dallas actually had success with that last week against San Francisco. So watch out for that. Watch for Philly to probably go back to those screens and be able to take those one-on-one shots downfield in coverage. And then finally, we got Jalen Hurts versus Brock Purdy. We got Mr. Irrelevant. Well, we're not going to call him Mr. Irrelevant, but we're going to call him Mr. Relevant versus Jalen Hurts, who arguably could be the MVP of this year's season. So very great quarterbacks. Brock Purdy undefeated, hasn't lost a game. And Jalen Hurts, staggering numbers. Only has lost one game, I believe, this season. So I think what it really is going to come down to is the turnover ratio. Which guy is going to make the mistake first? And, we saw a little bit last week of Brock Purdy making those mistakes that we're not used to seeing. He didn't throw any interceptions, but, he was getting, duressed by a lot of defensive players from Dallas, DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons. And if Philadelphia is able to do that, neutralize him, that's going to be a problem. And I think the number one key for Philadelphia is stopping Christian McCaffrey. They got to go back and watch the tape of what Dallas did. Dallas did a great job slowing down the run of Christian McCaffrey early on. They got tired as the game went on, and they weren't able to slow him down the entire game. But if Philly can do that early, I think Philly has a great chance of winning this game. And then that explosive offense with Jalen Hurts, it's been explosive all year. And if he can keep doing what he's doing, doing a lot of the RPOs, handoffs, and being able to take shots downfield, I believe they're going to have a lot of success. So my ultimate pick for this game, it's a back and forth. I've been thinking about it all week. I'm going to lay the money with the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm giving them, I would say a 60% chance to win this game. I think it's very close. I think two things consider. The quarterback, I trust Jalen Hurts more in this situation than Brock Purdy. I know Brock Purdy's undefeated, but Jalen Hurts, he is playing at such a high level. And I think when the ball is in his hands, he's going to be able to perform and outduel Brock Purdy. And then where this game's at, in Philadelphia, this is Brock Purdy's first real test, playoff football in Philadelphia. That's somewhere you don't want to be. So I'll give me the points with Philadelphia. I'll probably lay the 2.5 as well, but I advise you guys definitely to take the Eagles in this spot. All right, guys. So now let's get into the AFC Championship game. Another fascinating matchup to watch on Sunday. So we got the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs, this spread's been going back and forth. Chiefs are now 1-point favorites as of today. We'll see how that line plays out throughout the week if it changes and goes back. The over-under is 47.5 points. And right now, if you take the Kansas City Chiefs on the money line, it's minus 120. So you put $120 up, you win $100. And for Cincinnati, if you put $100 up, you win $100 because they're plus 100. This matchup's going to be played at Arrowhead Stadium at 6:30 Eastern Time. So, let's get right into the points. This is going to be a rematch of last year's AFC Championship game. This time around, though, the Chiefs will not have Tyreek Hill in that offense. So, could play out a little different. Let's get into the points, though, and I'll share with you guys what I think. So, number one, can the Chiefs slow down the run game of Cincinnati? Cincinnati, this past couple weeks, they've been able to establish the run very effectively. They did a little bit against Baltimore, but you really saw last week on how they showed with Joe Mixon and Pirine running the football. They had over 138 yards together versus the Bills. And the Bills are a top 5 defense in the league, especially at stopping the run. I know everyone's going to say they didn't have Von Miller, some of those key guys up front, but look at what Cincinnati did to them at Buffalo. Just pounded the rock, and Joe Burrow was able to open up and his one-on-one targets with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. So I think this is going to be a big component for this game. If Cincinnati is going to want to get off to a great start, is by establishing the run game, being able to get 5, 6, 7 yards a carry against the Kansas City Chiefs, who have struggled against the run. Last week, they had a hard time slowing down Travis Etienne. And if they're not able to do that and capitalize this week on Cincinnati, they're going to be in trouble. And the last time these teams played in Week 13, Cincinnati had over 150 rushing yards. This was without Joe Mixon. So think about Joe Mixon back in the lineup now. What Cincinnati can do to this Kansas City rush defense that has Chris Jones, Frank Clark, some of those big boys up front, Nick Bolton in the linebacker position, William Gay, and the rest of those guys. So key matchup to watch in this game. But number 2, can the Bengals stop Travis Kelce? So this is on the other side of the ball, Kansas City's offense versus the Bengals defense. Travis Kelce, Pat Mahomes, we know the story. Probably the best duo in the NFL. Definitely top 3, could be number 1. So how is Cincinnati going to stop Travis Kelce? Well, the last time these teams played, Travis Kelce was very neutralized in that game. He had about 4 or 5 catches for, only about 50, 60 yards. And, no touchdowns scored. So if Cincinnati can implement that success they had the last time around, that is going to be a huge advantage for the Bengals, on that side of the ball. And, last week against the Jaguars, Travis Kelce was able to hit his stride, had 14 catches, over 100 yards, or 98 yards, and then 2 touchdowns. So, he lit up the game last week. And, what Cincinnati has to do is be very smart and focus on situational play on third downs and red zones. So on third down plays, they got to look to double up Travis Kelce. Jaguars didn't do that last week, and that's what killed them. They didn't change their strategy up and try to confuse the Chiefs' offense. They just kept sticking to what they were doing the entire game. I don't believe Cincinnati's going to do that. I think Cincinnati's going to change up, throw different schemes at Kansas City, throw them off balance, and confuse them. So look for them to neutralize Kelce on third downs, and then especially in the red zone. I absolutely think they will find a way to not let Kelce touch the ball, because that's Mahomes' number 1 option in the red zone is Travis Kelce when it comes to his receivers. He's got Valdez-Scantling, Juju Smith-Schuster, Kadarius Toney, guys who haven't been there. This is, all 3 of those guys, this is their first year with Kansas City. So in this kind of situation, playoff matchup, it's going to be very interesting to see if these guys can step up. Who's going to step up if Kelce is not performing as well? So that's a key component to watch for. And for the last one, Joe Cool Burrow versus Patrick Mahomes. This is going to be the matchup to watch. As far as, the status on Patrick Mahomes, coming off that injury, right now he's not 100%, but he's walking fine. He's, he practiced yesterday, so we're hearing some good news from him, but that injury did not look good. And, in the game, your adrenaline is running, and that, you don't feel the pain as you do the next day. So he was definitely feeling it Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And, I don't believe he will be 100%. I believe he will play this game. He's Patrick Mahomes. So, and they're going to need him. But I think Joe Burrow has a very clear, there's a very clear gap between Burrow and Mahomes right now, especially with Mahomes, being limited. Joe Burrow, what he did so effectively last week was getting the ball out quick. There were a lot of questions on that offensive line for Cincinnati. How are they going to hold up with Collins going down, their right tackle, Alex Kapka, their right guard? And, there were a lot of questions and concerns with how they would respond, and they responded. Joe Burrow was able to get rid of that ball quick, trust in his receivers in these one-on-one matchups, move the ball down the field, and strike early. And that's what I see Joe Burrow doing. He's had, Joe Burrow is 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes, which is very impressive. No other quarterback has been undefeated against Patrick Mahomes. Last time these teams played in Week 13, Joe Burrow was able to put up 286 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Patrick Mahomes only with 223 and 1. Cincinnati was able to neutralize him really well with Trey Hendrickson, Logan Wilson in the linebacker position, and then their corners, Eli Apple, and some of those other guys. So you're going to see that you're going to see that in this matchup this week, who is going to be able to get which quarterback off the field more often. And I think Mahomes is going to have a really tough time in this game. And Joe Burrow, if he plays a simple, smart, effective game like he did last week, I think this is a great I think this will be an easier matchup for him than Buffalo. So my ultimate pick is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. I love the Cincinnati Bengals this week. I believe they have a 70% chance to win this game. That's how high, that's how I feel about them winning this game. And, Joe Burrow, we're going to see if he can, redeem himself from last year and get his team to the Super Bowl and win it. So this will be very cool to watch. But yeah, I'm laying the money with the Bengals. All right, guys. So the sports betting strategy that we're going to implement this week. So we got the Bengals money line. We got Philadelphia given 2.5. 75% chance for Cincinnati to win this game and 65% for Philadelphia. So that's how we're going to do our budget. So as far as how we're managing it, if you have $20, you're going to do $13 on Cincinnati, $7 on Philadelphia. If you have 40, you're going to do 25 on Cincy, 15 on Philly. $60, you're going to do 40, 20. Same thing for 80, you're going to go 50, 30. $100, you're going to go 65, 35, and so on. So if you have 200, obviously you're going to multiply 65 times 2. Same thing with 35. That's how I want you guys to scale out this week. I'm not going to do any teaser picks this week. Just single, straight bets. Nice and easy. Thank you guys again for watching my YouTube channel. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm also going to be posting this on Instagram, so go check it out there. Good luck this weekend with your bets. Let's see if we can go 2 for 2.